So from that video, I think you could see that everyone was wearing the same thing, everyone was driving the same car. And with our suburbs, we definitely starting to see that everyone is kind of conforming, and definitely everyone looks pretty much the same. Now, we will see also, and we talked a little bit about this after with the World War II presentations, but women definitely have an interesting role because they went through such a dramatic transformation in World War II with Rosie the Riveter, going to work in the factories, doing typical male role jobs. But yet, after World War II, so many women gave up their jobs to give their jobs to the returning veterans. And so while they had this moment where they could have demanded more economically, a lot of women returned home and gave their jobs to the returning soldiers. Now, we're going to watch an episode of I Love Lucy to talk about these gender roles and how men and women really had very pretty rigid and strict roles in the 50s, but I promise that we will watch it when I get back on Monday. Just make sure to remind me because it's one of my favorite episodes. Unfortunately, it's on Hulu. I only can find it on Hulu. And so, with that being said, unless if you do have Hulu, you could watch it. But I know that we've limited our streaming access on your Chromebooks. So we will watch the episode of I Love Lucy on Monday when I get back. So, with that, we do see with women returning home, men, soldiers returning home, we did have a big demographic shift with a baby boom. So, the baby boom population basically is anyone born from 1945 to 1961. Because after World War II, we saw a lot of people getting married at a younger age and then also having more children. So, the Great Depression, people did not have a lot of kids, or people refrained from having kids because they were expensive. And the Depression, a lot of people didn't want to bring children into that situation. And then World War II, we didn't see a lot of births because, again, during war, there's not a lot of hope for the future. But now that World War II is over, we definitely see a big baby boom shift. And I know we talked about the boomer generation when we had the presentations from World War II. So, with our typical families and our our middle class developing much stronger now, we definitely start to see a lot of culture developing. For one, TVs were pretty much standard in most people's homes. Pretty much everyone had a television in their home, and it became really the number one form of communication, of entertainment. And it's still definitely popular, obviously, today. 1950s, we used to have people who sat around and after dinner and would listen to the radio sitcoms, but now we actually have television sitcoms like I Love Lucy and Leave It to Beaver. So many television sitcoms that aired on TV. We also ended up having lots of changes to corporate America. Now that the Interstate Highway Act has developed, people are traveling more. So when people are traveling on the road more, they need more access to food. So McDonald's became very popular. Also need access to hotels. So we definitely start seeing a lot more corporations develop because of so much of this prosperity, trade, and transportation. Music also developed pretty dramatically in the 50s. We ended up having the creation of what we call rock and roll. And so rock and roll became really the popular style of music in the 1950s. And so with the 1920s, which the 20s and 50s get compared to a lot because it's a lot of cultural development. The 20s, we have the jazz music really develop, and then it slowly transformed, and we end up getting rock and roll music. Now, Elvis Presley was pretty much the most famous rock and roll artist of the 50s. We're going to watch a little video clip of him because his appearance on television was very, very, very criticized. People thought that his performance was so promiscuous, it was inappropriate. The way he danced was shocking and just provocative. That after his performance on that television show, when he aired on TV, they would zoom into his face and not show him dancing. because so many people just were appalled by it. So you're going to watch the video link now of Elvis, and you might find it comical that people found this so provocative, especially with music videos today. We've seen a pretty dramatic change. So go ahead and watch the Elvis clip of him dancing and be the judge of how you feel about his dance style.